Hey guys, I'm gonna do a little video. Yeah, I usually don't show my face because I'm so ugly, but this is what I look like. This is what you get. Actually got DV on the phone. We discussed the Mission Impossible project a little bit, and it was actually a really good conversation. We have such a good time on the phone. He does want me to research fitting LS valves into the chambers. I do have some LS valves in stock. I cannot put 5/16 guides in. I don't have the ability to do that here. But I'm sure I can figure out a way to get them in. I'll probably, if I do find some LS stuff, I'll stay smaller than the biggest valve we can stick in there. Okay. He did voice that he was thinking about good size valves to get his low lift flow up. I said, okay. He had no idea that this project was so popular on the internet that guys were discussing it the way they are. And he's like, "What were they saying?" Well, they don't know why we're not using Magnum cylinder heads. And he goes, "Charlie, what's a Magnum cylinder head?" Obviously, he doesn't do a lot of Dodge stuff. Neither do I, but I know what Magnums are. So I said, "David, it's like going from a standard open chamber 70s Chevy head to a Vortec head." And he goes, "Really? Why aren't we using those?" I said, "Well, it's not really in the spirit of the original design was to take a 70s 318, do what you can with it, regrind the cam, and see what you can do. It's morphed into a little more than that. I mean, I'm personally, I think I said this already. I would like to, I'd like to do it with all Dodge stuff. I would like to, I told David this. I said, I'd like to just stick some 360 valves in there, 188, 16s, call it done. And he goes, "I don't want to do that, Charlie." And because he's upset about the weight. I go, "David, we're never going to be able to pull the RPM out of this thing to make the weight that big a difference." And he goes, "Not with the two barrel, we're not." So, you know what he's thinking. So he'd like to keep the valve train light, so he doesn't need too big a spring. So I know where he's going. So the point is, we have to do our 1 horse per cube, and then of course we're going to add a few more things. So he likes the idea of the quench head versus the open chamber. I discussed intake manifold with him a little bit. He said he didn't know whether we were going to use single plane and dual plane, and then he thinks about it and he goes, "I think we need to do both." And I said, "That would be a really interesting test." They will both be two barrel, so we can use the carb they're modifying on both of them and see what different curves we're going to get. I think that would be pretty cool. So, funny part, he started to go into what he's doing with the connecting rods and how much work he's putting into them and so forth. And he starts running some trivia by me. "Do you know why I do this? Do you know why I do that?" And of course I know, because like I told him, I said, "David, I've been studying your stuff since the 80s. I used to do engines like we're doing right now. That used to be how I would do them. I would go through and I'd deburr everything, and I would go through and I'd lighten all the stock connecting rods. I would almost always use a forged piston, but I would lighten the piston quite a bit because I never really had money for balancing, so I had to do all my own balancing. I actually bought a nice scale to balance rods and stuff. That worked out really well. Long time I did it with a triple beam. Worked fine with a triple beam. Then I got a nice digital scale, and that was kind of funny when he starts questioning, and he's always the teacher, so he's like, Charlie, do you know why I do this with the connecting rods? Yes, I do, David. Oh, it's awesome. I actually took this week off. My girls are all home. My wife is away. I'm not going to let them be home alone. You can just imagine the trouble they could cause. So I'm home this week, so I've already banged out most of that first 302 head. And in doing so, the core shift was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And of course, the worst cylinder was the one I worked on for 24 hours. If I picked a different cylinder, it would have worked out a lot better. Check out DV's latest video. He does a set of Edelbrock heads. And take a look at the flow curve versus what I'm getting on the 302 Dodge heads. That's good. That'll be you could comment that on the bottom of this video. There was a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Let me pause and get my thoughts together. Okay, an important point that I had not known before was first test is going to be with cast iron exhaust manifolds. Ouch. If anyone's worked on stock cast iron exhaust manifolds, and I've had applications that I had to get as much power out of stock exhaust manifolds as I could. Wow. That's going to be as bad a cork as the 2-barrel. That's going to knock a ton of power off. Of course, as soon as we put headers on it, she'll pick right up. So the numbers between the headers and a 4-barrel versus cast iron, stock intake, 2-barrel will be night and day. I have no doubt. And it's funny the way DV thinks. He just keeps coming up with different ideas when he's going to dyno test it. It may get involved, but it'll be a good learning curve. I guarantee it. All right, guys. Thanks for putting up with me. Have a good night. Thanks.